Few more things I would like to add. I would have really liked it if they had at least, mentioned her original costume, her Miss Marvel one that's in this picture, since it's literally one of my favorite costumes for her. And I actually liked Miss Marvel in the comics better before she became Captain Marvel. But, yeah, I think it would have been cool if they mentioned that. And later I'd talk about how I don't really like hero versus hero. But, I gave some examples that were hero versus hero. So I thought that might confuse some of you guys. But, when Hawkeye and Black Widow fight, Hawkeye's not really a good guy because he's being mind-controlled. The Hulk versus Thor fight, it happens all the time in the comics. So that one's kind of an exception for me. Kind of like, Wolverine versus Hulk. Since Wolverine's an anti-hero, and they fight all the time in the comics. And even though I don't really think people like Captain America and Thor and Iron Man should fight, it was a pretty cool scene in Avengers 1. Which is my favorite MCU movie. But if we're talking about just hero versus hero, I don't think they should fight. I think we should develop them more in the movies. And, it would have been cool if we would have actually got to see Quicksilver more and his reactions to other people. Like Black Panther and stuff. But he was killed off after only 2 movies, and the first movie was just a cameo. Although his movie came just a little bit before, Days of Futures Past, so I think they should have been able to keep him, but they didn't, because of their stupid rights argument. So yeah, I think it would have been better. And hero versus hero fights are sometimes good. And obviously Quicksilver versus Hawkeye was before Quicksilver became a good guy, since he was a bad guy until like 10 minutes left of the movie. I think that's about it that I gotta talk about. So I just wish that this one would have made it into the movie, because it's one of my favorite costumes. It just looks so good. They have it in LEGO Marvel Superheroes 1. And that's the only one, I think. I don't think Captain Marvel is available in the first one. I know she's in the second one, and there's like a story mode in Marvel Avengers. A little side quest, like 10 minutes long, that I beat. With Captain Marvel, so. And it's her actual good Captain Marvel costume. I always loved the one where she had the little mohawk sticking out. And she had it in Civil War. In the comic, anyway. No, maybe I'm thinking of something else. It's in Contest of Champions. Yeah, that one. That would have been cool to reference, too. But I think that's about it. For me, the most disappointing part of this movie is that there was no big boss battle like there is in the movies. And like any of the other MCU movies. There's at least one big battle. This movie was entertaining, had its moments, but there's not really a memorable battle. We have Captain Marvel's one badass line where she says, I don't have to prove anything to you. And of course, it's not an actual fight since she doesn't want to prove anything to him. Just uses her power to make him go flying and puts him in her ship. That's it. There was that decent fight scene where she just beats the shit out of like 20 Skrulls. But in the end, we find out that the Skrulls are the good guys. So, it doesn't really make me like that scene as much. I still appreciate that scene, but since they just beat the crap out of some good guys that they didn't know were good guys yet, it doesn't really make sense, because it's always got to be like one good guy versus one bad guy, or bad guy versus bad guy. They have different plans, but not good guy versus good guy. I don't really like those battles unless they have like similar plans and similar disagreements. But that was probably the most disappointing part. Black Panther had Black Panther versus Killmonger, and Avengers had Hawkeye versus Loki, and Hawkeye versus Black Widow, Thor versus Hulk. Age of Ultron had Quicksilver versus Hawkeye a few times. Or Scarlet Witch versus Hawkeye. There's a bunch of cool fights. Within this one, not one. Though there was that cool scene where Nick Fury struggles against the Skrull that's pretending to be Phil Coulson, but still wasn't really a fight scene. And Captain America 2 had that awesome car chase with Nick Fury. But this one doesn't really have any cool fights like that. Speaking of Nick Fury too, I find it stupid that in Captain America 2, they have that badass line where he says, "The last time I trusted someone, I lost an eye." And in this one, it's by a cat. Though it's not an actual cat, it's Flerken the Devourer, who just eats everything possible. And later we get a hairball joke where he coughs up the Tesseract. But there's nothing that actually really happens with Nick Fury. I can't believe he lost an eye because of a scratch. I mean, that would probably be very painful, but I don't think you would lose your eyesight from a cat. And it's just so stupid that he would lose it like that. Why would they make a line like that? In the end, it's, oh, he trusted a cat. It makes no sense to me. No sense to me at all. And I do think Korath was cool that he returned. But Ronan looks so stupid in this movie, to me, anyway. Like, he looks so much better in Guardians of the Galaxy 1. Like, look at this. And look at the comparison. Look how good he looks. I get it. It's an earlier version. And he's not as skilled and advanced yet. Even his hammer looks cooler. His armor looks cooler. And he kind of looks more like the classic one. But it just, like, I like classic usually better. But for once, the MCU did it better. And they changed it. Just to barely do anything with him. And I'm pretty sure they changed the actor too, even though they had so many returning actors. Like Phil Coulson, and the bad guy that betrays Nick Fury in Captain America 2. There was a few other, but I can't really remember them. Maria Hill returned, though. She's usually in every movie, but doesn't really do anything. Besides Avengers 1, which is where she did the most. Avengers 1 is where she did the most. So, I really wish they would have had her do some more stuff instead of the stuff they had her do. Could have did so much better with Maria Hill and Ronan. But instead they didn't. And there wasn't even really a main boss battle in this movie, like I said before. There was no cool boss battle in that. That's the most disappointing part. And this movie was mainly flashbacks, and it was a long-ass movie.